Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what do you call 8 grandmothers sitting next to a superhero? Na 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 Batman. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 superhero games of all time.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 superhero games of all time. Just really quickly, a couple of honorable mentions. First of all, Marvel Risk. I always thought, it's a Risk game, but you got the Marvel superheroes. They got cards. They can do special abilities. I don't know why. I got a kick out of this one. I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine, but it's one I actually really got a kick out of. There's a little meat there to it that I really enjoyed. Also, too, Villainy. Villainy was a game that Evil Cody reviewed, in the first year of the channel, and it was from Mayfair Games, I believe, and it was a game where you could actually kind of create your own supervillains, and they had like these weird schemes that you would go on, and you were fighting heroes and stuff, and it was fun to kind of play the villains and do things like that. I got a big kick out of it. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into my top 10 superhero games of all time. First of all, number 10 is Marvel Remix. Marvel Remix is a kind of riff on, is it Forgotten Realms, where again it's got the system where you play a card, draw a card, and and the cards play off of each other, and um, you're trying to create a system where your cards are going to create the maximum number of points. But you've got these different decks, you've got different cards playing off different aspects of other cards that you have, and it's really a lot of fun. It's a quick game, it's a fast game. I really like it. There's a Star Trek version I got a kick out of, Red Rising from Stonemaier. They've got a version that plays on this. But anyway, really a lot of fun. I really liked Marvel Remix. That is my number 10, and that is from WizKids. My number 9 is kind of a dungeon crawl adventure. This is Batman Shadow of the Bat. This is based on Batman the Animated Series. So you've got the artwork from the animated series. It's actually a pretty fun game. At times, it did seem as a little more fiddly than it needed to be, but generally, you got some great figures here. You've got a great system. You can either play all on one, or you can play total co-op here. And they're really interesting systems the way you play, either way, either as a co-op or an all-on-one. And the way you're playing the cards and you're equipping the cards and the characters and the things they can do. And then the dice, it's got a really interesting dice system where you line up your dice and the person next to you can use the dice that are lined up, that are on that side of them. It's really an interesting system, really a fun, like I say, dungeon crawler. I got a kick out of it. I've just got the core box. I know there's some expansions I've never played, but this is by IDW, which I think they're no longer a thing. So I think this game is out of print, which is a shame because it's a fantastic game. That is number 9. That is Batman Shadow of the Bat from IDW. My number 8 is a game I played fairly recently. It's kind of a big, epic, global game, and it probably would be higher on this list if it were a shorter game, but it's a pretty long game. This is Marvel Dagger from Fantasy Flight. Now, Marvel Dagger is a great game. You've got like 20 heroes in the box that you can choose from, about 4 villains. And but you go ahead and you're going on missions and you're trying to put out all these fires and go on these missions. So there's a real kind of pandemic feel about it too. But it also kind of plays a lot like Eldritch Horror minus the encounters. But there's also, so it's, you can say if Eldritch Horror and Pandemic had a baby with a Marvel theme, this is what that game is. It's fun. It's interesting moving your heroes around. You've got, of course, kind of your hero abilities, but then you also have to take an aspect. Each hero has an aspect like justice or um, aggression, or things like that are kind of unique to your character when you line it up. But then you can team up with other heroes. There's a lot of cool card stuff that's going on in this game. So that is Marvel Dagger. That is number 8, and that is from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 7 is also a Marvel game. Stop me if you heard it, but this one came out here. I think it was earlier this year. It was either late last year or earlier this year, and it's really fun. It's a worker placement game. This is Marvel. Age of Heroes. Forgot the name of it for a second. Marvel Age of Heroes. But this, as I say, is a worker placement game, but you're putting out cards, and you put out the cards in certain areas. And then when you put out the cards in certain areas, you can go there to get certain resources. You're building up your resources. You're also building up a lot of other you're building up the resources, but you're kind of building up your ability to take on these big baddies. And you can put your characters to kind of on the X-Jet where they can go and fight the villains. And they go there, and depending on what the villains are, you can go to certain places to spend certain combinations of your resources to defeat certain aspects of that villain and gain the rewards. It's a great game. My only caveat is toward the end of the game, you've got these hands of cards, and they don't mean as much. And there's really nothing you can do with a lot of cards. And so that last few rounds do kind of drag a bit, but I think it's still worth it. I still think it's a fun game. I just wish that the end were tighter. I hope that maybe they can come up with an expansion or something that kind of cleans that up. But generally speaking, really fun game, and that is Marvel Age of Heroes. That is my number 7, and that is from WizKids. My number 6 is a very simple game, and in fact, originally it was not a superhero game, and this is just really a theme that was pasted onto this. But I love this game so much, and this is my favorite way to play. This is Batman Love Letter. Love Letter is a great game, and it's a simple game. It's one of the easiest games you'll ever play. You have one card in your hand. On your turn, you draw a card, and then you have to play one of those cards. But you're trying to get to the Joker. You want to be able to capture the Joker. If you can get it with a Joker, you win. But you're going back and forth, and you have to play whatever the card says. You have to do whatever the card says that you play, and it's just very fun. It's a fun two-player, and then it's fun with up to four. I really enjoy it, and really the only thing that's Batman about it is the artwork, but I really like the artwork here. And it's just, like I say, every time I play it, I have a lot of fun, and I like it because it's quick, too. That is Batman Love Letter. That is from AEG, and that is my number 6. My number 5 is another Batman game. This is Batman Gotham City strategy game. This came out several years ago. I remember I got this before I moved to Texas. I gave it to Zach for a while, and then he was going to get rid of a bunch of his games, so I took it back. But in this game, you are the villains. You're like Joker, Riddler, Penguin, Two-Face, Killer Croc. I can't remember, but you're a bunch of the villains here. And what happens is you're going out, and it's kind of a Euro. You're actually trying to get resources in order to commit your crimes and get points. But what happens is Batman can come out eventually and just beat the snot out of you. And so you're hoping whenever Batman comes out, he doesn't attack you. And it's just great fun. Batman, of course, is AI. It's all handled by the game. But it's a really fun, fairly quick game. And it's also got kind of the hero clicks thing to it, too, which is pretty cool. Really enjoy Batman Gotham City strategy game, and that is why it is my number 5, and that is from WizKids. My number 4 is another Batman game, and this one is Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Now, this is kind of the big dungeon crawler to put all the other dungeon crawlers to shame. It's kind of based on that system we first saw with Conan, where you've kind of got the river. The bad guy is controlling all the villains, and then Batman and his different players are playing Batman and his friends as they're attempting to stop the schemes of the bad guy. And the bad guy, what's cool is he's got the river, so he can activate units here cheaply, but then he has to put it at the back of the river where it's going to be more expensive for him. So depending on where it is, it's going to cost him more of his energy, his currency, whatever. And that's cool. But Batman 2, he can go ahead and he can activate a lot of his gadgets and what have you, but it costs him to do it. And so this is a great game of choices of how to activate. The only real caveat I would say with this game is the rule book is really not very good. There's some real issues like the initiative is like blue or off blue, so it's really hard to tell who has the initiative in the scenarios. But when you get into it, it's a really fun game, and it's big. And I did the season 1 Kickstarter. I got everything for that season 1 Kickstarter, and it's just a ton of content. A lot of it, years later, I still haven't gone through all of it, but it is a fantastic game. Really like Batman Gotham City Chronicles. That is from Monolith. My number 3. Now, stop me if you've heard me. It's a Batman game. This is Batman The Dark Knight Returns. Now, Batman The Dark Knight Returns really is a solitaire game. There's a way you can play with 2 players, but fundamentally, it is a solitaire game. And this is based on the Frank Miller comic book, The Dark Knight Returns, in which you got this kind of older, grumpier Batman who comes out of retirement to clean up the city one last time. And what's cool is the graphic novel is in 4 books, and so there's essentially 4 scenarios, and it's kind of a campaign. You play through each of the scenarios. And what happens is, as you're playing through each of the scenarios, you have the characters and the situations from that book play out all the way up to you're battling Two-Face and then the gang, then you're battling the Joker, finally you're battling Superman. And what's cool is, even as you're doing these main missions, you've also got all these little missions that pop up there as well. But then also the different spaces on the board are accruing more cops or gang members or what have you. And so there's almost a pandemic feel, and you're trying to put those fires out even as you're trying to wrestle through this main story and take on some of these side stories. But it's really a lot of fun. This is a game that over like 4 days over a weekend, I had this up on my table, and I played through the whole thing, one game a day, and it was great. And it's one of those things where I got to find time, maybe next summer, when I can do that again. I've got the time to play through the game, because it is a lot of fun. Some people say it's a little too easy. I think maybe there's some justification in that, but for me, this is really about the experience, and it's really about playing through those books. I loved it. Really had a lot of fun. So this is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. That is my number 3, and that is from Cryptozoic. All right, my first 2 favorite superhero games here. I'll tell you right now, these games are, again, probably will not come to as much of a surprise to people when they hear them, because they are both games I play a lot, and they're both games I love a lot. And in fact, when I compare them, it's kind of hard for me to pick one over the other, but I do. So number 2 is the DC Comics deck building game. Now, I recently, this is from Cryptozoic, and I recently went in all in, and I got the multiverse boxes and everything. I wanted everything, and there's still a lot of sets out there I want to collect. And it's a game you collect as much as you play. But this has got just some absolutely phenomenal um, gameplay to it. I love how easy this game is. Now I got everything in the big boxes, but I still have my original core set that Cryptozoic sent me 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, that I just because I still like the mobility of that core set. But I got everything else in like the big multiverse box. I still have the Injustice box too. At some point, I'll start transferring that into the second multiverse box. But it is, I love this game. I love this game so much because it plays well thematically. You can say it's a little wonky because you have sometimes like you're playing against each other, but you're Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. You're playing against each other, but it's so much fun in the way you are building your deck, in the way you're playing your cards. You're attacking your the other players. You're getting weaknesses out there. You're attacking the big baddies is what you want to do. And then there's so many variations on it. I think my favorite variation so far, the box, is the confrontations box, where essentially it's a team game. You can play 2-on-2. You can potentially play more, but it's based on this confrontation system where you're attacking each other, but you can help your teammate. It's a lot of fun. And I've said this before: the DC Comics deck building game, the original game, was the game that really made me love deck builders. It's the game that got me into deck builders. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, how much this game really opened up my gaming world to what deck building can do. And again, it's hard for me to explain just how much I love this game, and I really like that I've got all the stuff, or virtually all the stuff, for it right now. But that is number 2. That is the DC Comics deck building game, and that is from Cryptozoic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my number 1. This, of course, is no surprise to anyone who knows the channel. This is Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. Legendary Marvel deck building game. I have everything. I have all the sets for this. Maybe there's some promos I don't have, but all of the sets I have. They just sent me the new What If version. I don't know if I'll have a review up by the time I put this video up. Maybe, maybe not. Really looking forward to that. But I've got everything for this, and I love this game. I love it. I recently bought all those really cool card dividers from Tesseract Games. Uh, this is a game. In fact, I think I could make a case for saying I have played more games of Legendary than any other game I own. I could probably say that because every time the new set comes out, I like to play through it, and I like to play the different schemes, play with the different heroes and villains and stuff. So I play this game a lot. And I'm glad they keep coming out with new stuff because it forces me to keep playing it. And I love it. I love it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to keep track of all the keywords, and I got to go back and read up all the keywords and stuff. But generally, this is just a phenomenal game. It's great. You've got heroes that come out, or villains that come out of the top deck, and you attack them. But then you also have recruit power, so you can recruit some characters from the HQ. And just the way the cards interact, I love. And I love too how when they come out with new iterations, with new boxes and new sets, they always have, there's always some schemes or some keywords or some interactions of the cards that is something new, and it's something unique, and it's something fun and interesting. And I'm amazed after all these years they can still, with most of these sets that come out, there's a few maybe not so much, but most of the sets they bring out, you really get an entirely new way to play the game that's still easy, familiar, and fun. So I really love Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. I bought this game, I bought the course set. I was at Salt Lake Comic Con, I think in 2013, and I think not long before I had seen, I mean, I loved Tom Vasel's game, and I think maybe I had played this game once before. I've seen Tom Vasel's review of this game, and that, I know that really influenced me. But I think I'd played it with a friend once before. But anyway, I was at Salt Lake Comic Con, and I decided, yeah, I'll pay the marked up price. I was just so excited. I bought it. I took it home, started sorting the cards. But I loved it. I ended up just loving this game, and I still do to this day. One of my favorite deck builders. One of my favorite games. That is Marvel Legendary. That is Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. That is from Upper Deck. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I just had to say, last week I got my copy, my Kickstarter copy of Marvel Zombies, which is Zombicide with the Marvel heroes, and it is fantastic. Had I played it before I made this list, it would probably be in the top 3 somewhere. I don't know where exactly yet, but I'm fairly certain I would put this in the top 3. It's a fantastic game. I'll have my full review in a few weeks, but just so you know, it deserved to be on this list. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are my top 10 superhero games. What do you think? What are some of your favorite superhero games? Don't say Sentinels of the Universe. Go ahead, leave comments. I'd love to know what you think. I'm always happy to hear. Just keep it civil. And I love to know what you guys have to say. And do you like mine? Should I get rid of some? Should I get some others on there? Let me know. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, on thediscriminatinggamer.com. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you to check out my other channel, Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history, fun things like that. Please subscribe to that channel. It would mean the world to me if you would do that. Also, too, please give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That also helps us out a lot. And if you really do like the content we put here on the channel, I'd ask you humbly to click on the Super Thanks button here on the YouTube page and leave a contribution. That would mean a lot to me. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I got to tell you, speaking of superheroes, as a child, I always thought of my father as a superhero. The Invisible Man.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in. Dreaming you have superpowers, like laser vision or climbing walls. Deep down you know you don't need powers to be a hero. You just only need the balls, but you don't have the balls. Lucky for you there is a card game. In fact, my friend, there are two. I know right now you do not possess superpowers. I guess these games will Sitting around your kitchen table.